Hello, welcome to SMGI, Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery, a substance-free medicine. I am Raji, your host. In this episode, we're going to discuss about the results of SMGI with the creator, Gina Vance. But before then, if someone asks me, what are the results of SMGI? The one word that I would use is wow. That's because I was a skeptic when I went for the first session. And now I myself am an SMGI practitioner. And I take my clients through the journey. And it's beautiful. The results are not always what they expect. But ultimately, the desires come true. When I asked one of my clients to give a review after her sessions, this is what she said. Raji, I'm not sure words can adequately describe it. You have to experience it. When I try to explain SMGI to my friends, I say it's like hypnosis. But you are in control of your narrative. Because of this, your mind takes you to wherever it needs to go. Sometimes what came up was unexpected. But my subconscious knew in what order and in what depth things need to unfold. So I'm not overwhelmed in reaching my desired outcome. So beautifully put. That's exactly what it is, and that is the reason why I do SMGI and I offer SMGI to my clients. In fact, that is the only therapy modality that I work with at the moment. Now, let's go to meet Gina Vance and see what results she has got in practicing SMGI for the past 20 years. Hi, Gina. It's a joy, as always, to meet you.
Thank you so much. Me too.
Yeah, today is an exciting topic, results of SMGI. So, Gina, to start with, what type of people or what kind of issues do people bring to you?
There are so many, but they fall into three main categories: health issues, career issues, and relationship issues.
Would you like to take each issue and give us some example of
Sure.
how SMGI has worked?
Yeah. Because I'm a certified guided imagery practitioner, some of the big hospitals here in the States will refer people to me for guided imagery that have a cancer diagnosis, because there have been books written about how effective guided imagery was, and there have been some spontaneous remissions. And so sometimes I have people referred to me that have a life-threatening diagnosis. And so our work is to support them in creating comfort and also a peace of mind and possibly spontaneous remission. And for some of those people, their situation ends up being terminal. However, their life changes in the course of our work. Their quality of life changes dramatically in the course of our work, according to what they report to me, how they are with themselves and with others and with life and in the world and in nature. So it's a more dramatic health issue. A lot of gut stuff, irritable bowel, right? It can be any health issue that you want to mitigate, that you want to support the healing as an adjunct to other therapies or treatments that you're getting. So health is one that people come for. And
while you are at the health issue, Gina, Can I add that the things that you mentioned about cancer, about IBS, there are so many researches which prove that guided imagery, how it works. What I really like in SMGI is it's not only the guided imagery part that you bring in, SMGI actually goes into the root cause of where the mind-body issue is. So all the health issues that you said, even though science proves through guided imagery how effective it is, to me, guided imagery is almost like taking you into the future, but SMGI connects you to the past of what has happened and brings both together into a result.
I would say yes, but we do not direct people into their past. We direct them inwards to connect to their inner strengths and clear away what is harmful in their subconscious, and then their own inner wisdom, if it's important and relevant to their desired outcome, will take them back in time to an event or a series of events or experiences that might be connected to, exacerbating, or even possibly the root cause of what has manifested in their experience. So that's one little difference with SMGI, is that we don't direct people back to a past life or back to their childhood. However, if that's where they are spontaneously taken, according to their own inner wisdom, we definitely can support them elegantly. And sometimes it is their future that's important for them to connect to, what's possible when they heal or resolve or mitigate what is creating their suffering. And all of those places are accessed from the present in their body. So that's an important and very lovely, simple part of how every SMGI session begins, is connection to the self through the body by way of sensation.
It's beautiful. Other one you take is some examples on the career side, how you've helped people, Gina.
Yeah. Some people are making a lot of money in tech here in California, especially, but they want to begin engaging in more meaningful work. So they want to transition out of being an employee into maybe creating a startup or doing something else. Others might have had experience in their profession, but they want to transition into something that's more meaningful to them, uses their gifts, talents, skills, and abilities. And some want to increase their income financially, which that happens for them. You know, with this work, people get what they ask for. Part of our job is to help them ask for what it is they really want. So career transitions, increasing business, increasing relationships in business. This is both with your coworkers, your colleagues, subordinates, if you will, as well as your clients and customers. So because nothing is sold that isn't bought by a person. So people are really the key component in all of this. So yeah, it's fun to support people in business. There are certain people that entrepreneurs that have a lot of fears, right? Because it's risky to be an entrepreneur. And so it's really wonderful to work with those people to help them connect to their inner strengths, clear away that clutter that is dogging them, you know, telling them that they can't do it. And then connect to those parts of them that have a lot of energy and vitality, life force energy and vitality, that can support them in creating what they want to create as an entrepreneur.
So when you have sessions with them, Gina, is it the starting point that bringing clarity to exactly what they want? Because sometimes when I started my yoga studio and then into this SMGI, the path wasn't that clear. You know, I knew I have to leave my engineering, that much I was clear, but I didn't know what is the next one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I really needed someone to work to help me to get that clarity.
Yeah.
And once the clarity came, then the pathway sort of opened. And it's not a definite point. I think it takes to the next step and the next step and the next step.
Mhm.
With SMGI, what I realized when I did with you is at that moment, what I needed, I got.
Mhm.
And then after 6 months comes the next stage. Oh, I'd like to get a bit more, change direction a bit more. And then SMGI helps me to put those seed words. Give me a little bit more about the seed words, how they help in this career path.
Yeah. So there are many ways to manifest what you desire into this physical reality. And moving through the SMGI journey process is one wonderful way. And we also teach our clients something called subconscious seeding with special words we call seed words. So we help the journeyer to connect to the wisdom in their subconscious that gives them sets of words that will support their desired manifestation, what they desire to manifest. So if someone desires better relationships or tremendous increase in income, whatever their desire is, and then we access the optimal set of words that will support the manifestation of that desire. And it's very easy and enjoyable to repeat these words each day, maybe once, maybe twice a day. And as we're doing that, it bypasses the resistance, the critical analyzers. And it also isn't creating resistance that some affirmations can create when you're lying, right?
Exactly. That's what I would like to explain to our clients, because this affirmations is something a lot of people do.
Mhm.
But and then wonder, why is it not working? And then you bring such a clarity to why the affirmations are not working. Please explain to us, Gina.
Well, when you lie, it creates stress. That's what the lie detectors are based upon, right? So when you lie, it creates resistance in your system, creates stress. And so it's not that affirmations can't be helpful and can't be effective for some people, right? It's just that if someone says, okay, I'm going to make $30,000 a month, and they write themselves a check and they put it up. So there's a couple of things. One is that that's very limited. It's much more effective to say, I am going to create a tremendous increase in income, because that could be 60,000 a month. We don't know, right? But when you place that limit on it, limits usually slow things down and create constriction. And when we're saying, I have $30,000 in my bank account right now that I just received. Well, that's in the realm more of fantasy than the deeper imagination. And also it activates parts of you that don't believe that and that have something against that. Right? There are certain parts that are afraid if we make too much money, something bad will happen. Or certain parts inside of us are afraid that if we get what we want, something bad will happen. Right? It could be from something as simple as you got an ice cream that you wanted when you were 3 years old, and you got a spanking because it was before dinner time or something. So for each person, it's going to be unique why they have resistance to creating what they desire, to getting what they want. But that's the beautiful thing about subconscious seeding with the seed words, is that it's like you're just throwing wildflower seeds out on the earth, and there's a lot of weeds, but pretty soon all of those seeds that you put out every day are going to be more than the weeds, without really creating any resistance. That's part of the magic. And SMGI in general is designed to not engender resistance. So it helps us get things done much more effectively and relatively quickly.
Yeah, beautiful. I've sown a lot of seeds. I'm
Mm.
sowing every day.
Wonderful.
Including this recording, the video. Yeah. So, Gina, the next one is about relationships, which is such an important part in our life, isn't it? Without that, it's so difficult to survive in this world.
Yeah, well, it's impossible as an infant. So a lot happens when we have experiences as an infant that affect us pretty extensively. Yeah, relationships. Most people, though, when they come in, they aren't coming in to say, I want to heal my past trauma, right? They want to resolve or make better something that they're living in their current life. So when it comes to relationships, things like I want to stop yelling at my kids. I want to stop smoking pot every night, or drinking every night, so that I'm disconnected from my kids, my family, my partner. Yeah, relationships personally, right? The most intimate relationships, professionally, right? Some people that are employees are very intimidated by their higher ups or superiors, so-called. And that we get to see that shift and change where they experience themselves as an equal person, and they're able to articulate themselves much more refreshingly clear, which their higher ups usually appreciate greatly. And also socially, a lot of people have social anxiety, and so they have to force themselves to do social things for a better good. And that evaporates, that disappears too through the course of a person's inner journey work. Yeah, that's probably the most profoundly important part of the work that we do, because we are helping each person that we guide inwards to develop a richer and more rewarding relationship with themselves, with their parts, with the power in their inner world. And out of that, everything else is blessed.
Gina, when all these three parts, or the health, career, relationships, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs says, all that we pass and then we come to the top, which is self-actualization or a spiritual growth. Can you give us some examples on how people come there and how you would help them?
Yeah, I don't typically have people come because they're asking for spiritual growth, but that's a net effect. And, I would say if there was a fourth circle, it would be spiritual growth. However, the three other circles would be inside that one circle. So any project they're working on, any theme they're working on, they do have spiritual experiences when they connect to themselves and their parts and their strengths and the beauty and power within them without us directing it that way. I've had many people over the years say to me, wow, I'm not a spiritual person, but some of my experiences were so spiritual, right? And so my perception is it's because we're spiritual beings having a human physical experience. Not that anyone needs to believe that, but I've seen it so many times without trying to direct it into any spiritual orientation. And with SMGI, we are very respectful when it comes to spirituality, because, you might be very comfortable referring to Pachamama and your angels and guides, but you might work with someone else who that's very unsettling to hear those words. And so SMGI is very respectful to all paths, all spiritual orientations, and we don't work with psychopaths or sociopaths, but anyone that comes that is seeking inner work, we're happy to support them in connecting to their deeper selves by guiding them inwards and connecting to the beauty and power that is there.
Is it safe to say that psychopaths and sociopaths don't come to SMGI?
That is very safe to say that. Yes, they are just not attracted to this work at all. So no problem. We don't have to worry about it.
That brings me to the question of, who are the people to whom this is not suited?
People who don't have enough pain to overcome their fear of going inwards. So I can tell you that's where I began. When I began, I thought all this stuff was wackadoo, weirdo stuff. And also I'd learned in my church that, it wasn't safe to go there. And so that was good enough for me. But when I had excruciating pain that all the conventional things were not helping, then when my pain was greater than my fear of trying something weird, then, all right, fine, I'll try it if it'll help. And so it took me 5 years to try lots of things, but each time I could feel that my pain was bigger than my fear, which helps me have the courage to try something new. And I found that with many people that we work with, they've already tried other things that were maybe easier, right? Some pain pills, some various kinds of therapies, different things that have prepared them to go deeper, right? None of it's been wasted. Their soul knows what it's doing. But for some people, there's a lot of fear of going inwards. They're afraid that they will feel and that they'll be overwhelmed and won't be able to come back from that. We know that the deeper you go, the easier it is to be with your feelings, but you don't know until you experience it. Another universal fear is that they'll change. And they know that if they change, that some things will be different and they might lose something they're not ready to let go of, a relationship, a house, a car, whatever. Another universal fear is that if they go too deep inside themselves, they might find out that the negative things they've come to believe about themselves are in fact true. And then where will that leave them? No hope. Now we know the deeper you go, the more beauty you find. And the fourth universal fear that I know of is that they will fail to exist, which is a fear greater than death, but just like not existing anymore. And this is related to some of the personalities, some call ego, because when the caterpillar changes into the butterfly, it does cease to exist. It's in a new form, right? So in one sense, it's still existing, but not as the caterpillar. So identity change, really. Certain parts of their identity will cease to exist, not because we're going to rip it off of them or cajole them to die. Ego death is important. Nothing like that. However, they will encounter false identities that they've created, that they needed to get through their life, that they're ready to retire or to release or to uncreate. And so through the work, people become more of themselves and less of their programs and personas. And so it's really beautiful and very freeing, but you don't know that until you experience it. So even though this is the gentlest inner work that I know of, it still takes courage for people to explore it.
So true, Gina, because it's that fear
Yeah.
that stopped me. So when you listed the fears, I knew each one. At each stage, I had to cross that. But it comes to a point where we have to face it. Otherwise, we feel so stuck.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
face the fear
and
and go.
we probably all know some people who they didn't want to face it and they're okay being where they are. What we would consider stuck and anathema. But most of us know people who, for whatever reason, they're not interested in moving out of whatever place they're stuck in, at least right now.
Yeah, that brings me to another category of people to whom SMGI is not suitable. Those are people who want us with a magic wand to fix them. Because I say SMGI is magical. It doesn't mean that we have a magic wand to wave and somehow fix it. They're not doing anything. There was this lady who came in, and then we had this discussion. Even before coming in, the questionnaire pretty much prepares her. But after the first session, she said, no, I want something where I'll just sit and listen. I'll close my eyes and you can do your clinical hypnosis. And just in one session, things will change when I go home. I say, no, I don't do that. I'm very sorry. So there's this expectation of something magic will happen. But the truth is, the journey is magical, because the inner journey is something, to me, so much magical than what my left brain expected it to be. It was as if in a different realm, not in reality, and where rules are different, as you have said. So it is magical, but
Yeah.
we don't have a magic to fix anyone.
We don't have a magic wand to fix anyone like, classical hypnosis that we've seen in the movies or TVs. We all do have a magic in us of our own soul's history and our desire to show up and support another soul. But yes, once in a while, someone, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist as well. So people seeing that they want to experience hypnosis, how they've seen it on TV or in the movies, where they're just basically put to sleep, reprogrammed and awakened. And then, it's another magic bullet, right? So that doesn't work very well for most people. The last I knew, that kind of hypnosis works well for 3% of the population, which is great for someone that needs to have open heart surgery, but they're deathly allergic to anesthesia, right? So wonderful. But it works only for about 3% of the population. And then for them, it's only temporary. So though, and in the context of SMGI, our understanding of hypnosis is really where the predominant amount of your attention is absorbed, right? So when someone's having their chest sawed open, the predominant amount of their attention is absorbed elsewhere in another reality, another experience of reality. And so we would be robbing people of the glory of the treasure hunt in their inner world, all the magical characters and creatures that they encounter, the epiphanies that they have. It's like being in your own movie where you're the hero. And yet, similar to a movie that you might be really engaged and engrossed in, you can't ever die in that inner world. So whatever happens, you can always get safe. And that's where the magic wand can come in. If you want to make something disappear with the magic wand in your inner world, you absolutely can. If you want to fight it with a sword, you can. If you want to just tell it to step aside and dissolve, that can happen. Whatever you are inspired to do with what you encounter in that world, it's doable. And though that might sound fanciful, to the biology, it's a lived experience. And so it adds to your sense of what you are capable of, what you can accomplish, what you can triumph over. Just like an athlete will do some run-throughs before the final event, inner world journeys are run-throughs. And then when you encounter the similar theme in your outer world, you find that you meet it in a much more resourced way. You're calmer, you're clearer, you have access to your wits. It's phenomenal. That's one of the most fun parts. The journeys are rich, and usually at the end of the journey, people open their eyes and say, wow. But where the real treasure is when they live their life and they notice their life is the same, but they're so different. People often say, well, my stressors are the same, but I'm not as stressed by them.
And that's what I hear all the time.
Yeah. And after a few sessions, somewhere between 3 and 6 sessions, other people in their lives will start remarking, what have you been doing? You seem different. Did you get a facelift? Did you lose weight? People notice that there is a difference. So it really is life-changing. It's transformative work.
Reminds me, one of the difference one of my clients got is the confidence level was so low. She was using Botox everywhere because she's so afraid her husband might not find her very attractive. So the difference she found is to be herself, no more Botox. So the face is different. So when you said people notice and ask what happened, the notice that they had on her is not really what she wanted. Now she looks aged. So people ask what happened, but she's come to a level of inner confidence where this is my age and this is where I am. I thought that's beautiful, because that's not where when we started in the questionnaire, we intended to go. It just came along the way, and she was ready for it. And I thought that's a beautiful journey. The difference in SMGI, what I realized is it's fun, it's simple, and it's magical, but the person who's doing the journey has got the magic wand. So it's empowering them. That's the difference. I, as a guide, don't have the magic wand, but they have it and they feel the power of it. So the result is they feel empowered. And it's a journey where we honor them. We do not give them ideas. For this lady, I had no idea I want to give her no, Botox is right or wrong. That's not my judgment. If she wants to go ahead with that, that's what she decides, chooses to do in life. So I was surprised when that came as a byproduct of whatever we were doing in the sessions. It just took me by surprise as well. Most of the time, the results just take me by surprise. They're surprised, I'm surprised. Oh, okay. That's what their soul had intended that journey to be. And it's so beautiful to allow that to unfold the way it needs to be.
Simple, fun, empowering, and surprising. So I have two stories to tell you that surprised me as well. I was working with a woman. She came in for weight loss was her goal, and she'd had a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of sexual trauma, which unfortunately happens to a lot of children. And we were several sessions in, I don't know, 8 or 10 sessions in, and as we do in all sessions, I just checked in with her. What do you notice is different since our last session? And she said, several weeks ago, something disappeared and it hasn't come back. And she said, every morning when I would wake up, there would be like a ticker tape of mean, hateful words towards me, just going across the bottom of my awareness. And that disappeared several weeks ago, and it's just never come back. And, we never talked about it. She never asked for that to change. I said, wow, don't you wonder what thing or series of things we did to accomplish that? And another one, a young man came to work with me for 6 sessions to get clear on whether he wanted to remain an employee or become an entrepreneur. And so in the course of that work, we did the same thing we always do. And he happened to do some inner child work and cleared some clutter, brought some parts back into safety, and connected to some sources of strength and love and support. And then a year or so later, he called me. He wanted to come in for further sessions to clear a pornography addiction. And he said, because I had helped him clear an alcohol addiction, he knew I could help him with this. And I said, well, sure. But when I hung up, I thought, gosh, I don't remember alcohol being mentioned. I looked in his file. It was never mentioned once. So when I met with him, I told him about that. And he said, oh, yeah, it was really bad. I had bottles strewn everywhere. And so that was a side effect of guiding someone in to connect to their strengths, clear some clutter, bring some parts back into safety and wholeness. So the side effects of this work are delightful to experience and delightful for us as guides to hear about.
Mention about addiction, Gina. Addiction can be any form, right? It could be the bottles, it could be the pornography, it could be workaholic or whatever. Is there a way we can address addiction as a whole rather than from moving from one to another? Like for him, he moved from bottle to something else and from there to something else. Is that a process that you have in which addiction itself can be handled?
It's the same process. One of the beautiful things about SMGI is it includes everything. And it's not like specialized. Oh, we're going to do this special thing for that symptom. Because, and there is different information out that says addiction is about a lack of connection or a wound regarding connection. And if that is the case, which oftentimes it has seemed to be in my work, then this is the remedy. People are getting connected to themselves, and they're able to give to themselves and their parts and their younger parts everything that they didn't get when and everything that they wanted, everything that they needed that wasn't available to them for whatever reason. And also it heals the traumas that create so much pain and suffering for sensitive souls that they're overwhelmed by it. And they need to find a way to mitigate that pain, that suffering, that terror. And so they use some substance to get a break and really to keep going. And yet then, of course, it reaches the point of diminishing returns and starts causing harm. And so whatever bottom someone needs to hit, right, whenever their pain gets greater than their fear of change, then this work can help them profoundly with addiction, because they are getting what they need that they didn't get before, that created the trauma or the drivers for the addiction. Now, that's not to say that certain people don't have propensities, whether physical or spiritual inheritance or whatever. And yet, this SMGI is not about any kind of deprivation. And in general, of course, we ask people to come to their sessions sober, but it doesn't always happen. We still do the work. We still do the work. And then people move through that relapse and then back into their lives. Something I'd like to say about relapse, because it's really perceived as a negative thing, not to be allowed. Don't let that happen. However, relapse is really an important part of an addict's journey, because how we heal is to repeat themes, to replay themes, and put a new ending on them each time we do. So typically when someone is relapsing, they are more resourced than they were before. And they are in that relapsed state for a shorter period of time before they reach out for help and move through it to a completion. So that is one of the 9 survival responses that is referred to in various therapies and in psychotherapy as recapitulation, reenactment. But SMGI perceives it as a part of your inner genius. It's a part of you that helps you replay a theme so that you can put a new ending on it and recognize that you are more empowered. You have the ability to put a new ending on it, as opposed to when we experience some kind of trauma, oftentimes when we were little, but it could be a car wreck where you felt powerless to prevent that from happening. So this is an opportunity for the theme to replay. So this time you can feel the power that you carry in you to put a new ending on it. When you put a new ending on it, it feels different in the body. And now you've created a new reality for yourself and your body. And when it comes to creating a new reality, you really co-create your reality with your body, you and your body, with your subconscious, with all of your inner resources. Everything really is a co-creation. So you co-create your reality. Sometimes we hear that we're responsible for creating our reality, and it's almost like pejorative, like, what's wrong that we haven't created a better reality? But in the inner world, it is a co-creation, and even in the outer world, because life is about relationships. And so the beautiful thing to know about the outer world relationships when you shift your inner reality is that people in the outer world will respond to you differently. Relationships become easier and easier and easier, more rewarding and richer.
What a beautiful way to end this specific topic about the results, Gina. Would you be able to guide us into this co-creating inner journey for our listeners, please?
Sure. Let's see what wants to come through today. Okay. So for the listeners, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can continue. And if you are in a place where you can let your eyes close, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, you can keep them open and just listen and imagine along with the sound of my voice. And it's not required to close your eyes, and you can let your eyes rest at kind of half mast, or you can have them wide open, whatever's more comfortable and appropriate for you where you are now as you're listening. And so begin, as we always do, by simply moving your attention inwards into your physical body, and just check in and notice any sensations that are there in your body in this moment now. And whatever sensations you're noticing in your body, just take a moment to notice what you're noticing. Acknowledge those sensations that you're noticing in your body. And allow whatever you are noticing to be just as it is. Whether you like it or don't, whether it feels good or not, whether it makes sense or not, just take a little time to give a quality of attention to yourself through your body by way of your sensations. And simply notice what you're noticing. Acknowledge it and allow it to be as it is. There's nothing to release or relax or let go of just now. No problem to solve. You're just checking in, getting connected, opening that channel between you and your inner powers. And when you're ready, move your attention to your abdomen and allow your belly to soften without forcing, just in an easy, natural, comfortable way for you. And into your softened belly, breathe 3, maybe 4 more times. And as you do, just offer your breath as a gift that your body can take or leave. Just breathing in easily, naturally, in comfortable ways, releasing the breath as you are ready. Nothing to force. Just breathing comfortably, naturally, in easy ways. And as you do breathe in this way, offering the gift of your breath to your mind-body systems, just notice how your body is responding to the gift of your breath. It may change in some way, or it may stay just the same. It doesn't matter. Just notice how your body is responding to the gift of your breath. And whatever you are noticing about how your body is responding to the gift of your breath, simply acknowledge that and allow it to be the truth of your experience in this moment now. And with your next deep breath into your soft belly, move your attention to the right side of your brain and allow yourself to become aware of a part of you that is fun and ease-filled and loves to create with you. This part of you could show up in any way, shape, or form. It could be material or immaterial. It could be animate or inanimate. It could be humanoid, angelic, from the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the mineral and gemstone kingdom. It could be an element of nature like fire or water or earth or air. Without looking for it or seeking it out, just breathe into your soft belly with your attention in the right side of your brain. Let yourself become aware of a part of you that is a fun and creative aspect of your own nature that would love to partner with you in creating ease and pleasure in your life. And whether it's quite vivid, what's come to you, or very subtle, just notice details about whatever has come to mind for you. And if you're not sure there's something there, if there were, what might it be? And whatever you are noticing coming to mind for you, whether it makes sense or not, just immerse your attention in the details of whatever you notice. Even if it makes zero sense at all, your subconscious knows what it means and how to use it to support you in ease and creativity. And so just take a little time, notice any shapes associated with what's come to mind for you. Any colors or textures. Notice if it moves or has movement associated with it. Notice if it makes a sound or has a sound connected to it. And notice also if it has an aroma or odor or fragrance associated with it. Whatever details you are noticing about what's come to mind for you, simply immerse your attention in whatever you are noticing and allow yourself and give yourself permission to enjoy any good feelings that are activated in your body. For somewhere in your biology, you will likely notice some pleasant, good feelings or activations. Whatever you're noticing, just allow yourself, give yourself permission to enjoy anything good for you. And then as you prepare to bring your attention a little more back to the outer world, a little less in your inner world, knowing that you carry your inner world and the resources that abide in there with you wherever you go. And so I invite you to offer a kind of farewell for now to whomever or whatever came to mind for you to support you in co-creating fun and ease in your life. And just notice how this figure, this character responds to your farewell for now. And notice how it feels in your body as you recognize that response to your farewell. And then let your eyes gently float open and just sit for a moment and notice what feels different in your body, your energy, and your awareness.
That was beautiful. I'm sure all the listeners would have got what they wanted in their life.
Beautiful.
So thank you, Gina. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
My pleasure. And take care.